This video is a little bit about my career as a scientist, jobs, money, and the future of science and STEM in general. This is off the coast of Dominica. It's a British West Indies island, and this is a research project that we were doing. We were measuring corals. They had a huge bleaching event, and they were wanting to catalog corals and measure their growth and their return. And this is one of the shots that my diving partner took of me. And you can see that there's equipment, real fancy equipment. That's PVC pipes. That's what's available out in, the third world countries, I guess. And that is a piece of PVC plastic board that you can actually ride on underwater. And I'm snorkeling down there to just get a closer look because everything looks very similar from the surface, and so you have to really get close to the corals and the algae to really determine what species it is. Don't you dare laugh. I found these pictures a week ago and I haven't seen them in quite some time, probably the better part of a decade. But this is another island. This is a jungle island, and this was another project where we were growing corals. In particular, this is Elkhorn coral to reestablish back into the reef system. They had cruise ships that had ruined some natural coral area and natural reef area, and then of course they'd moved the port, and so they were wanting to reestablish that whole reef. And so as you can see, there's multiple. They look like little baby pools, but they're tanks, and that's what's growing in them. Just different types of sea anemones and echinoderms and corals of sorts. There's all kinds of stuff in there. But anyway, this was actually, if you can tell from the background, the whole project was in the middle of the jungle. Like you had to hike all the way out there just to get to the laboratory. This is Kruger Park in South Africa, and this was a wildlife management project, or restoration, but also wildlife management. And you can see in that top photo there where they're establishing these watering holes for animals, because as the cities in Africa are growing, the animals, they're part of their natural migration pattern is to go through where there is now a city and lots of people, and so they're trying to keep them actually like in the park. And so we were building a lot of those. But that island right there that all the seals are on, it's called Seal Island, and that's off the tip of South Africa. And if you've ever seen National Geographic movies where the great whites jump out of the ocean and grab the seals, just that picture says a lot, right? That's why the sharks hang out in front of that island, and they get lots of really fantastic National Geographic footage. Along with those photo albums, I also found a lot of my journals from undergrad and, of course, my research projects in grad school. But you can see that I did a lot of illustrations. I don't even remember, this is how old I am, going to a lot of those places that I'm flipping through the pages and reminiscing about, and can't believe what I saw back then. So journaling is a real thing. Everything was dated, maps about where I went and what it looked like. I did a lot of drawings and I was really into cataloging creatures and living things, and scenery. So, and really maps too. So STEM jobs are projected to grow 13% within the next year. And out of 100 STEM job occupations, 93% of them have wages that are far above the national average for any other job out there. And so the average median hourly wage is about $38, $39 an hour. You can do the math on that. It works out to be quite a comfortable living right there. So, but the U.S., this is the sad part, it's 38th out of 71 countries as far as math goes, and science they're 24th. And sadly, only 36% of all high school graduates are ready to take on college-level science courses, and that's part of why I open up, my AP class to all students, because the more exposure you have to it, the better you can be prepared. And U.S. universities are expected to produce only 29% of graduates that we actually need for those fields. So there'll be multiple jobs open for every science and math and STEM career major that comes out of college here. You know, 74% of middle school girls say that they like engineering, science, and math, but by the time high school is over and they've made college choices, we're looking at 0.3% of them actually go into those STEM fields. Minorities are 29% of our workforce, but it's only 12% of the representative population of engineering and STEM type fields. And you can see that minority women, it's even smaller. Out of all of those positions that are available, there's a real small percentage of just females that enter that, and of course, minority females in particular. All fields of STEM are important. We've decided to take more of an environmental approach because students can relate to it, and of course, it has a ability to engage and pull on your heartstrings a little bit. So let's talk money. If you're going to go to college and spend all that money getting a degree, what kind of return are you going to get on your investment? If you can tell from this diagram, this was produced by Forbes magazine, you can see that engineering is going to have lots of opportunity. Chemical engineering is going to be the most highly paid of that. Interesting enough, when I was looking at all this data, I found some accounting and economics degrees are right in there with science degrees and medicine. And it goes on up to talk about the humanities. If we turn that illustration upside down, we can look at each field and determine how many individuals are in the top earning percentage of that field. So if you look at, let's just say nursing, for instance, there's a very small portion of individuals in the 90th percentile, the top 10% of earners. But if you look at something like chemical engineering, you can see that a third of them are earning in the top 10% of their income bracket.
So there it is. That's a little bit about me and why I emphasize STEM so greatly in the classroom.